Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. EQA Nostalgia here, and today I want to talk to you guys about Black Desert Online. This is a title that many of you have asked me to cover on this channel, and to be honest, I kind of ignored you all because I am really sick and tired of getting hyped up for an MMORPG, and when it comes out, it utterly and completely disappoints me to the point where I have lost hope in this genre. I have seriously lost a lot of hope in the MMORPG genre for games to innovate and do something new and exciting and not just be another cookie cutter theme park MMORPG. And actually, what I've done with this title is unlike anything I've done with any other title in the past. I haven't even looked at it. That's right, I have not watched any videos, I have not looked into the game at all. I just didn't bother because I didn't want to know anything about this game until it was out and the reviews were up and I could go to a credible source and say, hey, this is actually worth your time. Because I'm one of those people who, when I get hyped for a game, I tend to spend a lot of time reading about it. I tend to spend a lot of time watching videos on it. And then when it comes out and it disappoints the shit out of me, I realize that all the time I spent hyping up over the game has been wasted. And not only that, I find that if I hype a game up too much, there's no way it's going to meet my expectations. So with this title, I've stayed away up until a couple of days ago when I finally started watching some footage for the game. I finally started digging into what this game entails and everything that people have hopes for and where it is right now in Korea, the state of the game. And that's something that's very different about this game. This game has been released already in Korea, so people are playing it. We do have plenty of gameplay videos out there. We have reviews. We have all sorts of things to see and talk about, and it's not your typical launch where no one has played it yet. So we do know a lot about this game. We are hoping that some of the things that come over to North America change a little bit, and I'm going to get into that in a moment. But from what I've seen from the game, graphically, obviously, it looks amazing. I keep hearing people comparing it to The Witcher 3, saying that it looks slightly inferior to The Witcher 3. I don't know why everybody has to make that game the standard. I see that in so many videos. Oh, The Witcher 3 this, The Witcher 3 that. I get it. The Witcher 3 was a good game, but I don't know why it became the standard to judge a game off of. I guess because the graphics were really nice. I don't know. I don't know what's up with that, but this is an MMORPG, so I can't really judge it off of that. For an MMORPG, I think it's probably the best looking MMORPG I've ever seen. The combat looks really, really good. I've seen a lot of combat. I've watched a lot of videos in 2 days' time I've had off, and it just looks really good. It looks like some of the best combat I've ever seen. Obviously, I do not have hands-on with this game, so I can't comment. I did sign up for the beta. I recommend you guys do so as well. It is available right now on the website. You can sign up, and hopefully by right around the end of December, you will get in. I'm hoping that I get in, and I'm hoping that there isn't some non-disclosure nonsense since the game is already out in Korea, and I'm hoping I can do some streams and I can bring you guys some first impressions. So aesthetically, this game is very pleasing to the eye. The character models look great. The world looks great. All the details are there. I mean, it just looks phenomenal. And, I know people say gameplay over graphics, and that's true. But in an MMORPG, I think it's really important that you nail that atmosphere because you want people to be completely immersed in this world. More so than any other genre, I think the MMORPG genre really needs to do this in order to be successful. Because when people play these games, they want to feel like they're in the world. At least that's how I play them. Going all the way back to EverQuest Online Adventures back in 2003 on PlayStation 2, the first time I set foot into that world, I felt like I was actually there. Like I was a citizen in that world, and that world existed for me to explore and to grow in. And I think this is something that a lot of MMORPGs, they don't really get that right because they don't focus on the graphics too much because the world is so massive and it's so hard to get good graphics. especially if you want to have an open world, a seamless world without any loading. And from what I've heard, there's practically no loading in this game at all. It's completely seamless, just like EverQuest Online Adventures used to be, just like World of Warcraft is for the most part. Completely wide open. You can just walk into a house and it loads up, and all of a sudden you realize that you're in somebody's house. You're checking out the housing, and there's housing everywhere. That's one of the things that I like about this game, is that you can have housing practically everywhere. That is really, really cool, and I think that's going to help the game over here, because over in the West, we are crazy about our housing in MMORPGs, and some games just don't really get that right. Final Fantasy XIV comes to mind. The housing in that game, I never got a house in that game before I stopped playing it because it was so expensive. Same thing with guild housing. It was so insanely expensive that if you managed to get into a guild that did have housing, everybody was pouring their resources into trying to get a house. It appears that this game is not like that. It's not too terribly hard to get yourself a cozy little abode. So the graphics are amazing. The housing system is amazing. Everything that I've heard about the way the combat functions and the world functions is amazing. I've heard the PvP is good, but it needs some work. There are some balancing issues. That's typical of a game that is pretty new. I think, when it comes over here, it needs to be more ironed out, maybe a little bit more just fleshed out. They need to figure out what's going on. And it does appear that we're not getting all of the classes. Somebody correct me if I'm mistaken, but I didn't see on the website the ninja and some of the other classes that I was interested in. I'm really, really interested in playing a ninja in this game, because from what I've seen of the gameplay, it feels like a ninja when you jump and when you flip backwards and to the side. I've never seen an MMORPG nail that. It just nails it. So the way that different classes function, I really like the way they've done that. They look unique. They feel unique. Everything about the combat and just the world in general looks amazing. But where I start to get concerned is the longevity of the game, because I'm hearing from multiple sources that there's pretty much no end game here for PvEers. PvP seems to be the only thing that you can really do when you get to end game. And also there is a soft cap at, I believe, level 60. For those of you who don't know what that means, the game caps at 60, but not really. You can go up and progress further, but it's kind of like reminiscent of CMs and EQOA for my EQOA crowd, where it kind of goes really slow after a while. You can get those CMs, but you're really grinding for it, It takes forever to go from 60 to 61. All of a sudden, it's just like somebody put a huge wall in front of you, and it takes forever to dig through that wall. That's what I'm hearing about it, and that's not very appealing. I'm also hearing that you level up really fast within a matter of about a week or two, just casually playing the game. And then all of a sudden, you've got this soft cap that takes forever to get through. I don't see why they chose to do that. It's a very strange design decision, in my opinion. I think that they should maybe make it a little bit harder to level up and just kind of forget about the soft cap. Maybe throw something in like what EQOA had, what the CMs did. For those of you who don't know what that means, is once you got to end cap, you had another system that you could level up to get different abilities and stats that would just basically allow you to become a master class. You would pick your master class and you would level up those different abilities and stats as you went along, and basically you'd still be level 60, but you'd be a level 60 badass. So that is a very strange design decision. And also I've heard that the game is really easy, which kind of contradicts what Korean MMORPGs are all about. From what I gather, Koreans usually have games that are pretty steep on the difficulty. This game, they've chosen to make it pretty easy, where you practically never die. You just zerg through everything, and you feel like a total badass because of it. But it seems very strange that there isn't much challenge here from what I've heard. I can't comment on that. I haven't played the game, but I'm hearing from pretty much everybody who's played it, it's just like face roll. You just face roll through the game, and you pretty much never die. There's no cooldowns on potions. I don't know if they fixed that since the videos that I've seen, but I've heard you can spam potions, which is a serious issue in PvP that needs to be ironed out. There are things that need to be worked out before this game comes to the west. But for the most part, it looks really engaging and really fun. But at the same time, if you don't have endgame, that's all she wrote, man. People will play your game for a little while, and it's going to have a huge following, and then all of a sudden, you're going to see it drop off. And then everybody's just going to go back to what they were playing before because there's no endgame there. And this is something that's really tricky for a new MMORPG. You have games like World of Warcraft. They have literally years of content for you to just sink your teeth into. And even games like Final Fantasy XIV have a surprising amount of content for you to go through, considering how young that game still is. There is a lot to do. And this is one of those games where I'm hearing there's no dungeons, there's no raids. Hopefully they can get something in there to keep people interested. I'm one of those people who it doesn't really bother me too terribly much because I'll just roll another tune and go through it again. That's something I'm used to doing from EverQuest Online Adventures because, truth be told, we didn't really have a lot of endgame stuff to do. Once you hit 60, you would grind out your CMs, you would maybe hop into a couple of raids, which I didn't really bother with. Mostly what I did on that game was just collect a bunch of alts, which is something I wouldn't mind doing in this game. But most people, the majority of people, are going to want that endgame, and I want it as well, but it's not going to be a complete and total turnoff for me. It's not going to break the game. As long as I'm having fun going through the leveling content, I don't mind doing it again and again and checking out the different classes. But even then, that's going to get boring if there's nothing pushing this game forward. So I think it's really important that they get some endgame content out there. I don't know how they're going to do it with as little bit of time as they've had. It doesn't really seem like they have anything lined up. I know they said that they were having some sort of a patch some months ago. I read about it. This was a while ago when it was written, not when I read it. I read it and they said, well, we're coming out with like a couple of new bosses and some things like that. And that's another thing, like the world bosses, there's really nothing to killing any of them. It's really simple. It's basically tank and spank mechanics. People want more depth. Raiders expect more depth from that. From a game like this, if you can just go in and just tank and spank something, that's not going to cut it. People want something more challenging than that, or they're not going to stick around. I've also heard people complaining about the auction hall system, that you can only put items up. There's like a cap on it where you can lower only so far and you can only put up so far. You can't really break that cap. The only thing you can do is get faction with an NPC so that you can adjust it and make a little bit more money. But that's not really player-driven economy. I know that that's their way of probably adjusting for inflation and not having that becoming an issue. But you have to give people free reign over the economy. It's just something that you absolutely have to do, especially in a sandbox game like this that's been bragging about, this is a wide open world, it's your world, you control the way you want to play it. They've really been boasting that, And I know a lot of hardcore people have said this game has started to turn from the promises that they made, and it's slowly starting to fit more into that cookie cutter build that nobody really wants to see from MMORPGs anymore. So there are concerns. There's a lot of concerns, and I don't want to piss on anybody's parade, but these are things that I think people need to be aware of. As in terms of these issues, I don't know if they've been worked out. As I stated when I started this video, I just started learning about this game. I'm probably not the best source to go to right away. This is just my take on it from what I've read and from what I've seen. And hopefully these things have been worked out. Hopefully I don't have my shit together and I don't know what I'm talking about. That would be wonderful. Because when this game comes out, I want it to just melt my face. I want my face to melt right off. And I want to be like I was way back when I just can't wait to get out of work and hop on and grind out a few more levels and just enjoy myself and completely immerse myself in this world. There hasn't been a game that's done that in a long, long time. I'd have to say probably EverQuest Online Adventures. Nothing really seems to measure up to that game. And I know there's a lot of nostalgia there, so that's kind of something that's hard to compete with because you're looking at things kind of from an unrealistic standard. But nothing has really pulled me in, guys, and I think mostly why that's the case is because nothing has really done anything new. I want to see something new here. I want to see a game that just blows everything away. I am so sick and tired of press this button and wait. The standard, cooldowns and everything. And what I like about this game is that it doesn't seem to have that. Yes, you have your abilities, but the combat seems so more frantic. It reminded me, the first time I've seen somebody playing a ninja, it reminded me of Onimusha. I don't know if you guys remember that game from Capcom way back on PS2. It reminded me of Onimusha, one of those action-style games that's really fast-paced, or like Devil May Cry. That's what it looked like to me as soon as I seen it. And I didn't know anybody was doing anything like that with MMORPGs. I mean, Guild Wars has kind of got that feel, and I guess Elder Scrolls Online does as well. We've seen a lot of games with the telegraphs that appear on the ground and you have to get out of the way and dodge out of the way. But the way they do it in this game seems just so much more fluid and more like an action-style game. And I think that's what really excites me, as well as the world being wide open. So hopefully they can deliver on this one. Hopefully they get some endgame content in there. And when the game comes to the States, it doesn't just, be something that people play for about a month and then they forget about it. We've got so many games like that out there. And I'm guilty of doing the same thing. I will do a review on an MMORPG or first impressions here, and then you'll never hear me talk about it again. That's because I've gotten bored with it and I've moved on. It's something that happens to pretty much every game that I pick up in terms of MMOs. So this is a problem, right? I mean, how many people are going to pick this up, play the shit out of it, and then once they're over it, they're like, oh yeah, that was amazing, the combat was amazing, I wish there was more there, and then they just go right back to World of Warcraft. How many people are going to do that? Especially when we've got Legion coming out, and I think it's about a year that comes out, the expansion for World of Warcraft. How many people are going to take off and start playing that? How many people are going to go back to their home? Their home, for me with World of Warcraft, it kind of became my home after EQOA was shut down. It's a game that I play for about a month or two when new content comes out, and then I'm gone for months at a time, and then I'll poke my head in again and say, hey, what's going on in here? Oh, nothing much. Okay, I guess I should not resubscribe, and I'll come back when they release a new patch or a new raid or something. I hope that this game doesn't suffer from that, because pretty much every MMORPG that comes out does. And I think it's because they lack innovation. They lack things that just keep people there. You have to be able to keep people there. And for those of you who don't know, this game is free to play in Korea, but it's buy to play here. I know I've seen people complaining about this, saying, oh, they don't have to pay for it over there. How come we do? It's bullshit, and I'm not going to pay for this game. And, if there was a subscription around it, I wouldn't pay for it. Me, personally, I prefer to have to pay for my game, because then I know it's getting rid of a lot of the free-to-play trash that floods these games. The people that come in and gold spam and do other nefarious shit that I don't want to see in my game. I like the buy-to-play model. I think it's the best model out there. You buy the game, you don't have to worry about being tied down to a subscription. But I would rather honestly see a subscription attached to a game than just free-to-play. Because when you just open the floodgates for everybody, it just doesn't feel... It completely destroys the world. There's just so much shit going on that ruins everything. So I'm glad that this is a buy-to-play title. And I believe the initial buy-in price is $30, then it goes up to $50 or $60, and then they have a $100 exclusive pre-order edition that you can get that's got a whole bunch of shit in it. So check it out on their website. You can start pre-ordering now if the hype machine has really got you. I'm probably going to pre-order it, but I want to wait. I really do. I want to wait to see how the beta is. Hopefully I do get in and, just take it from there, man. I don't want to get too hyped for this game, but I have to say it does look really good, and I can see why the hype train has kind of just really gone full steam on this one. So that is my take on it, guys. I don't think my heart can take another disappointment in the MMORPG space. I've started to lose faith, man, especially when you've got games like EverQuest Next that are just, where is that game? I'm not even going to get into it, but that was supposed to be our savior. Where the hell is that game? How come we haven't heard anything? But hopefully this is the game that pulls me back into the genre and I stay there. I don't just play for 1 or 2 weeks. I'm so sick of that shit, you know, because you drop your money and then you don't stick around, and before you know it, you're like, oh, hey, look, a Steam sale. And then you get caught up in the Steam sale, and usually that's what pulls me away. I'll see, oh, hey, look at this game is cheap. I'll buy this one and that one and that one. And then poof, all of a sudden, you know, I don't know if I'm going to go back to that MMO. It just kind of seems like I'm wasting my time. I've got all these other games that are, you know, I haven't even touched yet. Yeah, I don't want to see that happen. So there you have it, guys, my 2 cents on this game. I just wanted to get that out there. I know people wanted to know what my thoughts were on it. If you are interested in seeing more content from me, then please feel free to click that subscribe button. If you like this video, I ask that you please rate it thumbs up. I thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next video.